The idea is to talk to you about the right questions to ask on when you're qualifying a prospect, right? Seeing as I don't really know what qualifying a prospect was just for a long time, it was like, ask what questions do you need to ask when you're talking to someone for the first time and seeing if there's a fit for your product or service, right? There has been a lot of this, and I didn't realize it was a science more than an art until later down the line. But I wanted to share. So I can't remember the questions that I ask every single time. So I actually just end up asking the internet and being like, what are the best questions to ask to qualify a prospect, to figure out if they are the right fit for what you're selling, based on their answers. So I'm going to run through some of them and then hopefully put that into effect in another video where I'll do a live sales pitch, or maybe I'll do a couple of them and include different questions and see the reactions to those answers. All right, sweet. Okay, so the first one that I like to use is important to use is, can I ask you some questions about the business? Why is this important? First of all, you can do all the research in the world and not fully understand that person's business, who they are, what they do, why they do it, what is going on in the intricacies of that organization. So it's really important to get this kind of clear slate of, I need to know that we're on the same level playing field when it comes to the knowledge that we're sharing. And that is important because otherwise the pitch won't be tweaked and personalized for that individual's moment in time, that individual's ask right here, right now. Rather, it will be some generic rubbish that won't sell and won't do anything, and it won't help in any way. Let's be perfectly honest, right? No one wants a drag and drop type sell. I know I get bored of those, to be perfectly honest. So understanding someone's business from their POV is really important. Ask the damn question and take notes. Write. If you can, physically write. It shows that it mentally registers in their head that you are taking an interest in what they're saying. And so they might say more. Nice little top tip there. I figured that. What are your goals for the next 3, 6, or 12 months, depending on what it is that you're selling? So for media campaigns, it's 6 to 12 months. For website builds, that isn't the right type of question to ask, but it's a good question to understand where it is that they want to be in that period of time. Why? For 2 reasons. One, you want to fit in with what the business needs, right? And what their goals are, so that when you eventually sign them or you start to do work for them, you are both clear in these are the goals that we're achieving, so the expectations are on the same level. You don't want to have different expectations. That is really, really important. You don't want to have that. That's going to suck, because you're going to be 6 months down the line and realize that you've only made a small dent in what they wanted was a large dent. Maybe you weren't the right partner to do that, right? Understanding the goals of both the company and the individual, if you can. The individual, it depends on the relationship. You can't really build that in a first meeting, but you can see if they're hungry for something. And that is important. That's really important, because the individual is what's going to make ultimately the process of buying whatever you're selling so much easier. And so building that relationship one-to-one is super important. I've got a question here. It's what does your boss hope to accomplish in the next year? I don't like asking that. I think it's a little bit, doesn't really tell you much. Also, intro call, difficult to one. This is the kind of one that you might want to ask when you've done one piece of work. There's been some sort of extended period of time working together, and you can ask that type of question. One I found is really useful is, how does your company evaluate products or services before buying, right? Because the bulk of B2B purchases is an emotional purchase. I didn't realize that. I thought it was more strategic and logical, and because they're longer terms, they're not 1 month contracts, and they are 6 to 12 months, maybe 12 months or 24 months type retainers. You end up in a situation where you want to be able to get on with that individual. Does that person see you as someone they can get on with? And if so, you are likely to put yourself in a position to win whatever it is that you're trying to sell, right? So understanding how they evaluate the products and services is key, so that you can jump through those loopholes and get to that point of building a relationship. It's all about coming back to that relationship, all about like quickly building a sense of trust with that person that's behind a screen with you. I don't understand. It baffles me that we are trying to build relationships through screens because it's easier than meeting the person in person. It's also quicker. Such is the world that we live in at this current moment in time. You know, why do I want to get a coffee with you in real life when I can get it on a screen? Tell me about your average day. How would this solution impact your daily work is another one that's on the list. I don't like to use that. Depends on the type of work. It can range. And typically if they've booked a call in with you, that you can see the need for it more than anything. Was budget a barrier in solving this problem previously? Okay, so we'll split this into two. One, great question, helps you to understand the pain points of why it is that, you know, either it didn't work out last time, or maybe possibly it was the relationship with another vendor, and you know what you need to work on to be in the mix of that, winning that piece of work. And also selling that piece of work. Is it the right price point? Is it the right relationship? Is it the right, extra piece on the side that needs to come with the work? You've got to figure that out. And so asking that question opens up that line of conversation, which is really, really a good one. Secondly, how do you ask about budget? Typically, when you're doing agency work and you haven't got fixed price, you end up in a situation where you kind of have to play chicken and egg with it all, and that sucks. So what do I like to do? One, I ask. Some people don't. I was like, what is the budget that you're looking for? What is the range? Within a range, about 10K, just like, so is it between 60 and 70? Is it between 20 and 30? What are you looking for? So that we can appropriately make sure it's within that bracket that you're looking for. They're not going to give you the full price straight up. It's just because that means that as a vendor, I am going to put it to that price so I can earn the most amount of money. But a range means that you've got to work your numbers so that it fits in that. If they don't tell you and they don't give you an answer, you can always figure it out by saying, what is the revenue the company does? And from that, work backwards to see how much someone would spend on a paid media campaign, a social media marketing campaign, a social maintenance, right? Whatever it is, you can work backwards to figure it out. Someone that's doing 5 million a year is willing to spend potentially 5K a month on marketing. Who knows, right? You got to figure that out based on the type of business, the type of individual that you're speaking to, and also type of project it is that you're looking to sell, the type of work that you're looking to sell, right? So, key. Also, why is this a priority for you now? Why is this a priority for you now? I never realized how useful a question this is. It gets you inside the head of that company, right? And you figure out if it's a company need or a person's need. And then you can work your proposal towards that, rather than trying to figure that out on the fly and doing some fancy colors and presentation decks and all that rubbish. Why is this a priority for you now? And then you really home in on the issue. You get to the root cause analysis of the conversation. Important. I don't use that enough, to be honest with you. And what are your biggest pain points? We've kind of like been through that with the what was a barrier previously. I don't use this enough. I always forget to because I'm signing off the call quite quickly. So people want to go. We usually end up out of time. When is a good date to follow up? When is a good date to follow up? The follow-up is probably the most underrated tool in work, life, career, whatever it might be. The follow-up, the well-executed follow-up. Asking for a follow-up means that you are in their mind at a certain date. They're expecting something from you. If they give you an answer, if you don't ask, it's open-ended. They don't know when they're supposed to be receiving something from you because they haven't asked for something. They've put a time limit on it, and now you need to hit that time limit. It's a show of good faith. It's the first point at which you can build trust. That is what allows you to start winning things with that person in the future. So ask for the freaking follow-up and then do it. Actually meet the time period that they've asked for. If they want it tomorrow, make sure it's there by tomorrow. If they want it on Friday, make sure it's there on Friday. First thing, AM, in the inbox, ready to roll, so they can ask any questions for the rest of the day and you can tweak it if necessary. That is really important. I mean, overall, probably the best questions to ask, one, the follow-up, in no particular order. One, the follow-up. Two, what are your priorities? Why? What is your priorities? Why is this a priority? Three, pain points or previous pain points. Four, budget. Always ask the budget. Always, unless it's kind of been done in the preamble of the conversation or the email trail, whatever it might be. But yeah, that's my 2 pennies worth on it all. I feel like someone out there is going to need this, and so hopefully you find it useful. There will be a live version of this coming out, and maybe you can critique the hell out of it. Have fun. Bye.